just get Mick on. Michael.
How you doing, Craig? Sorry, mate. I'm a bit of a technophobe.
That's all right, mate. How are we?
Yeah, good.
So, give me your first thoughts on the final scores last night.
Oh,
If you can put
you
it
know
into
what?
words.
I was shocked. I was shocked. I woke up this morning, and the first thing in my head was how must Jack Catterall be feeling this morning. I was just, I just didn't know what to say about it. Really, I mean, we've seen some bad ones recently, but that was, I was just. I'm just still a bit speechless over it, to be quite honest. I mean, I've seen some fights where there's a clear winner, and it goes the other way, and I think to myself, oh, it's not a nice place, but they're not screaming robberies, you know. They're tight fights, and I think, well, that one's won. I've seen fights where someone's won, in my book, 8-2. And the other guy's got it, and then when you look back at it, you can see the case for it. But that was just. I just couldn't see how they could come up with them scores. I really couldn't, you know.
Also, he had the point off for the push, and was it the 11th round?
Yeah,
And he get the knockdown against him as well.
yeah.
So,
Would the points deductions evened themselves out because it was one apiece on the points, but the knockdown was a 10-8 round. But just for the first sort of 7 rounds, you know, Catterall just controlled the fight. His jab was
his
excellent.
defence was brilliant, I thought.
His defence was great. He was getting out of the way of the shots. His jab was on point. He was catching Taylor with so many jabs. And the 1-2s were coming off as well. Even in the first round, he really sort of like he pinged Taylor early with a 1-2 in that round.
First round, wasn't it? First round?
Yeah, in that first round. And he won that first round. And I looked at the scorecards this morning, and they all had Taylor winning that first round. I'm sure they did.
No.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what to say about it. I really don't. You know,
He looked quite impressive when he was letting his punches go as well.
Yeah,
Catterall, which
yeah,
shocked me a bit.
yeah. He was sort of sitting back. Then he'd fire, and he was doing it in such a way that it wasn't obvious. Now and again, he'd just stick a jab out, do his turn his shoulder up. Not exactly Mayweather-esque, but you know, tucking his chin in behind his shoulder. But every now and again, he really let his hands go, and you couldn't sort of there was no pattern to it. You couldn't say, oh, he's going to go back to the ropes, he's going to fire a couple of jabs and then sling that left hand over. But he was good. He was class. They had a game plan.
Do you think he spoiled Taylor's work quite well?
Yeah. I mean, people are going to say, "Oh, Taylor was, you know, he was weight weak and this to that." If it's professional boxing, if you're not going to win, don't fight. Just move up in weight, vacate the belts, do whatever. I never make excuses for a fighter who goes into the ring with an injury or something and then pulls. I'd rather a fighter just pull out.
Yeah.
Any fighters if you've got a bad enough injury, pull out and fight when you're fit. Don't make excuses after. It's professional boxing. You know.
Look at David Hay when he had the sore toe. Perfect example.
Yeah, that says it all, doesn't it?
Taylor will move up to 147 then.
Yeah, definitely. He's big at the weight. He'll be more comfortable, but I can't see him doing to them bigger boys. They're going to be rubbing their hands together. But you know, that's one performance. But even he's a good fighter. He's a great fighter.
Yeah.
But they're just, I think they're a different league. Your Spences, your Crawfords.
Catterall shocked me because obviously he's been out the ring for quite a while, and
Yeah.
I didn't know whether he would be quite rusty. Obviously, he's been in the gym training with Jamie Moore, whatever.
Yeah.
But he actually shocked me how well he dealt with Taylor.
Yeah.
He,
I was talking to my mate Tony Roberts about it beforehand, and I was, I'm not going to say it because I know Nigel Travis. I don't know Jamie Moore. Nigel boxed for Fitzroy Lodge. I wasn't there when he boxed. I'd moved. I'd already retired. But I've always known him as a lodge man. I've met him a few times. We had inter-club shows, and nice guy, Nigel. I don't know Jamie. I know just a nod to or whatever, but I wouldn't say I knew him. But I know that they're a tight knit camp. A bit like me and Adam Martin in that respect. And we've got Josie Forrester with us as well. But he's got that. They've got that. They're not going to take a fight that they think they're going to lose. They're not there just to make up the numbers. They had a game plan. They stuck to it, and he won. He won the fight. He won the fight. I don't know anybody who says, well, I think Andre Ward said he lost, or it might be Carl Froch mentioned that Catterall's work rate died in the last 4 rounds, and the last 4 rounds were very sloppy.
Yeah.
And I'd give them to Taylor. Go and have them. You can have that. You can have them 4 rounds. But if you sort of put them under the microscope, there might be a couple of drawn rounds there.
Yeah.
There wasn't definite winners, but it was just where Catterall wasn't as dominant. But the first 8 rounds, I mean, yeah.
You can't argue
No, not at all.
I think the only person the other person apart from the 2 judges that I think had Taylor winning was Stevie Wonder.
Right. Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't understand how they can score that. I mean, do you think there should be some sort of suspension for these people?
I don't like to say, I'm a licensed.
Well, I know you're quite involved. You can't really say much.
There's got to be something where they can look back and say, show me how them scores, how you come up with them scores. I mean, even the promoter, Ben Shalom, he looked embarrassed. He said he's embarrassed, and he said he was angry. So it's not just sort of like people speaking out of turn because they feel they've been harshly done by. It's the whole boxing community is just aghast at that decision.
Tony Bellew, I'm sure it was, put out a tweet, and he said, "Why do we always get asked the questions after fights? Why do they not ask these judges what they were thinking when they were scoring?" I don't know. I don't know what should be done. Because it's not going to be the last time this happens.
The problem you've got is, I mean, I've seen fights where there's a clear winner and the other corner are like, "Did you see that, Mick? It was a robbery." And you're sort of looking at them thinking, "It wasn't a robbery. Your boy got well beat." So because there's not enough honesty.
Yeah.
It's professional boxing. It's not like the amateurs where you get stuck, you get robbed basically, and you go, it just happens. You shrug your shoulders. Them kids are fighting for a trophy. It might feel like a world title to them, but at the end of the day, it's not a career defining thing. With the professionals, it's their livelihood, it's their life, it's everything like that. And basically, to take it away from them like that it's just not good. It's not a nice thing altogether. So where do you go? Where can you go? I mean, it's an age-old question. It's been happening for years. I mean, years ago, I remember when I was a kid, you'd read the boxing news. Someone's going out to Italy or Germany, and you'd be thinking, they've got to.
You'd already lost before you go there.
It's the same over here now. Not all the time. I saw some very fair judging on that. I see them 2 girls box, and I thought that I doubt if they'll give it to I think it was Ebony Jones or whatever her name was. She boxed a girl from Greece, but she's based in Scotland. And I thought first 3 rounds for Jones, last 3 rounds for the Greek girl. But I thought, she's like the journeyman woman, stroke woman. Yeah. She's not going to get the decision, and they give the draw. And I thought, well, that was really fair, and unexpected. Yeah. But then you see that in the main event, and you go, Christ almighty.
What did you make of the rest of the card? Did you see any of the other fights?
I watched the whole card, yeah. Yeah, I was very impressed with Kurt Walker. He's having his pro debut.
Mm-hmm.
Did a number, good movement, good power. And there was the other kid, Malloy.
Paddy Donovan.
Yeah, he boxed a guy just tucked up, basically.
Yeah.
So he couldn't really, he cruised through the rounds. He had an easy night's work. He wasn't sort of devastating looking or anything like that.
Yeah.
But you can see he's got a lot of skill, and he looks like a class act.
What did you make of the heavyweight fight?
Do you know what? I sort of reckoned it to a barroom brawl, but it was a bit embarrassing, I think, in the respect that it was for a title, and it was, how do I put it? I don't want to sound like, because I never like slag fighters off, but it ended up being quite entertaining in a funny sort of way.
Yeah.
But for white collar boxing, if you know what I mean.
It was it's a strange one to watch. Like, it was like one the first 5 rounds, McFarlane was just taking punishment.
Yeah.
But he kind of like soaked it up.
He soaked it up, and then he actually came back and started to hurt your man with body shots. But then he used his jab in one round. He was using his jab, and I thought he's gonna turn this round here, and that's all he had to do was jab, because the other guy's very, very raw, very basic. Just basic 1-2s. But he was open mouthed, gassing, and I thought there's going to be, it's going to be. I wouldn't exactly say Gatty Ward, but it was like, he's getting a beating, and all of a sudden he come back. But he was game enough, and it was entertainment. There was a bit of entertainment there.
Do you think McFarlane would have won if he was fitter?
Yeah, definitely. He but he had that strange walk forward with his face. There was no real boxing. And when he did use his jab in that one round, you could see he could have opened the other guy up. So he'd probably be kicking himself a little bit, but he needs to get fit, doesn't he? Let's have it right.
Like, was it the second round? He looked as if he kind of looked over at his corner. I don't know if he'd done something to his hand.
Yeah, I thought, wasn't sure if it was his hand or his shoulder. I'll be honest, I thought he was looking for a way out for a second, but he didn't. So plenty of bottle. Because he took some big shots without a doubt, and he just kept coming at the end.
Yeah. Congratulations on your victory for your man last weekend. Was it last weekend or the weekend before?
Oh, last weekend, yeah, Jermaine Brown, yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, thanks.
How is he now? Is he just relaxing this week?
Yeah, no, he'll be back in the gym tomorrow. I was out with him. We was out with him today. We've just been to a 50th birthday party. Paul, who owns the gym, it was his birthday, so we had it was about 70 or 80 people. All got together, all the old flat nose brigade, and we've had a really nice day. And Jermaine was there. He'd been bought a balloon and made a fuss of. So he's such a chilled out character, though. He doesn't really see it as there's no ego there with him at all. He's very, very humble, very likable. I really love training with him. We all do. Me, Adam, and Joseph. We have a real laugh in the gym, but get down to the serious stuff.
Was it him that, just for everybody that doesn't, I think everybody might have seen this, but for some people that didn't, was it him that actually pulled your body thing back?
Yeah. That almost went viral. He pinged me across the floor, tied up the body belt against the ropes, and he's sort of rocking me back and forward like a cat, and it was like a catapult. And in the end, he let go, and little old me went flying. Oh man, yeah.
Was that a sore one?
I got my revenge with a bucket of cold water, so don't worry about it.
Good man. See, Mick Conlon, has he been in the gym?
Yeah, he's training all the time. Training, he's a machine, that man. I'm so nice to have them fighters in the gym as well. Like, it gives our fighters.
How do you think that fight will go with Lee Wood? I
think Conlon stops him. That's my personal opinion. I just think, I just think Mick's looking good. So that's where I'm going with it. He's not,
I've got a spare ticket if anybody wants one.
he's not classed as a massive puncher or anything, but the in a 12-round fight, if you're hitting air and getting hit, it's gonna wear you out.
Yeah.
That's how I think.
Lee Wood has come on quite well, like
really well. You know, tall, can bang. Yeah, surprised a lot of people in that fight. But then again, that Chinese fella, it wasn't the same fighter that had boxed the year before with the record number of punch output. He hardly threw a punch, so he's in for a different fight with Mick Conlan on this one for sure.
One of your other boys, Rob Caswell, is he fighting again soon?
He's fighting same night. So that's why I can't go to Mick's fight in Nottingham. He's fighting at the Moat Leisure Centre in Maidstone. He's having his second pro fight. He's a lovely kid to train, Robbie, as well. Yeah, he was a decent amateur, but he just, when he's working with me, Joseph and Adam, he just soaks up the information, everything you tell him, and he's a lovely kid to have in the gym as well. You know, he's a real nice. He's a funny kid because he looks so young, and I don't know, he looks like a student. He doesn't look like a boxer at all, but something changes in him when he gets into that ring. A bit like Jermaine, really nice. You know, all of our fighters are really nice people, but
just the sudden switch.
Yeah.
How many fighters have you got in there at the moment?
Got Jermaine, Rob, Dan Morley. He was just he's coming back from a bit of an injury. He hurt his hand and then he hurt his elbow. But he was in one of the fights of the year with Louis Isaacs.
Oh, right, I remember that.
Yeah, really. I had the crowd on the edge of their seat, sort of thing. So he's back in the gym, but he's just sort of taking his time a little bit because he's had a couple of injuries. We've got Laken Obiara, Nigerian welterweight. That's it at the moment. There's a couple of prospective people going to be joining the stable, so we're just waiting to see. We're taking our time. I'd rather have not a massive stable because you need the time.
Would you prefer to have like a smaller stable rather than loads of people?
Yeah. Could do with a few more fighters at the moment, but the more fighters you got, the less time you got to work with them, and it's not like the amateurs, is it? So you know, you want to sort of like spend time with the pros, spend time, you know, training, getting to know them. They get to know you. It's not just about showing somebody how to throw punches. It's about getting into their heads, knowing what makes them tick and things like that. As far as I'm concerned, anyway.
What's your favourite part of teaching somebody new things? Like, what's your
probably pads. I love putting the body pad on, getting into a fight scenario, having a chat with them. Reenacting different things. Like I'll watch fights. I'll even watch other coaches sometimes if I'm sort of like sitting there and I watch something on the pads. And I think, I quite like that. And if it all fits into place with the fighter I'm with, certain things just won't work. But you'll watch a fight, and I was watching Roberto Duran and Davey Moore the other week, and the way he was sort of getting inside of him and throwing them left hooks to the body and coming up to the head, and I'll get into the ring on the pads, and I'll try and reenact it. I don't sort of, obviously I'm not bloody Roberto Duran, Jesus Christ, not at all, but that sort of role play sort of thing, with combinations, and then talking to them, you know, saying, right, imagine I'm a tall fighter or whatever, you've got to get inside, or I'm a horrible little flat-nosed skinhead who's coming at you and trying to knock 7 bells of thing out you. So it's all sort of horses for courses, really.
You've been in the game years. Are you still learning?
Oh yeah, 100%. From when I was doing the amateurs, to when Adam Martin got when I got together with Adam in the pros, from the early days, with, you know, well, Jermaine was there already, but like Kirk Garvey to how I train now is totally. There's so much more that I've learned along the way. You know, and it's great, and I hopefully I'm learning all the time, because the minute you think you know it all, you're in trouble. There's so much, you know. My old trainer, Freddie Hill, he was in his 70s. He said, I still learn things every day,
Yeah.
you know, about boxing, and that's the way.
It's good for your mentality as well, just to keep it switched on.
Definitely. Otherwise, you get stale and you get, you know, you just do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Every fight is different, aren't they? Their shapes, their sizes, the way they fight, their mentality. You've got to try and sort of work it all out and suit what's best for the fighter. It's no good saying to a big 6'3" geezer, right, let's get down and start fighting like a, you know, Julio Cesar Chavez and working the body. You use your physical attributes and things like that. It's just common sense, really.
What would you say to somebody like who has not really had many amateur fights, but they're wanting to go pro? Would you suggest that, or would you suggest to stay amateur for a little while longer?
No, we have it all the time. We have kids, say kids like 19, 20-year-olds, and not all the time, but we've had quite a few of them. And Adam will sit them down, and Adam will talk to him because he manages as well.
Yeah.
But the input we have together is boxing's bloody tough. And it's shit at times, and unless you've got a big following, then you can sell the tickets. We explain the ticket deal, because you're not all going to get straight contracts with Sky or Frank Warren or Eddie Earn or anything.
You're going to struggle a little bit.
We give them the reality rather than the glossy sign here on the dotted line. And
it's best to be truthful.
Yeah, you know, there's no point in just saying to a kid, yeah, let's get you up and running, and he can only sell 3 tickets, and if a promoter wants him to sell 150 tickets just to box on the show, otherwise he's got to fork out his own money to pay for an opponent, things like that. So that's the harsh reality of boxing. It's a lot of it is a popularity contest, and some really skillful fighters and some really hard fighters, good pros, have had to give it up because they can't afford to fight. You know,
I think it's a lot of them are like struggling to get sponsors as well. I think that's a major thing as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's a hard game, and when you sort of tell them, and they're all sort of starry-eyed, thinking, you know, I want to go pro, and they're looking at the big shows, and then you tell them the harsh reality of, right, this is what it is. You've got to sell 100 tickets. That's say 40 quid a ticket. That's $4 grand. 1,500 of that is for your opponent. Leaves you $2.5 grand. You've got to give the promoter 1,200 quid to box on the thing. So you're left with about 1,200 quid. And out of that, how many times a year? Well, we don't take money off the fighters when they're starting out, but that we should do. You know, there's 10%, and then there's 25% for the manager. Yeah. And then you're left with, I don't know, say 900 quid. Yeah. How many times a year do these kids box? I know. 4, 5? You can't afford to give up work, concentrate full time as a pro, and do that. So they have to work, or they've got to have help.
My mate Billy Smith, God bless him, he was just one of a kind. Like he would box tonight, and then we'd box like Wednesday. Yeah. And he'd be always ready, and then he'd get the 4 rounds, 6 rounds in the bag, money in the back pocket, probably a couple of grand, I'd say. And then that'd be him. Another couple of days.
It's okay if you're a journeyman. That's ideal, but not everybody's got the mentality to be a journeyman. You know, journeyman, people think, you can't. Well, let's forget the casuals because they don't really matter. But like even some boxing people look at these records, see someone like, I don't know, 130 fights and he's won 17 or something like that. They don't get that they're there. Some of these journeymen are a lot better.
If they properly went for it, they could beat some of these people.
Without a doubt. But then they're not going. No one would use them.
No.
Promoter would go, no, he's too dangerous. So you either take the ambitious route, which is hard, or you take the journeyman route, which may seem easy, picking up money, but when you've got young people trying to knock you spark out every week, it's not an easy game to be in. But if you can tuck up and you've got the right, I couldn't train a journeyman because I try to train for winners. I don't mean that in a boastful way, but I it's not about tucking up and just. It's a nice skill to have, I suppose. But if you want to win fights, going into a shell isn't the way forward. No. For winners, that's all.
Yeah. I think we'll call that a wrap.
Yeah.
Mick, thank you very much for coming on, mate.
No problem, Craig. It's lovely to talk to you as always.
We'll keep in touch, and I'll probably speak to you later on tonight at some point.
No problem. Nice one, Craig.
Have a good night, mate.
All the best, mate.
Right, speak soon, mate.
Cheers, champ. Bye.
Bye-bye.